Hello! Ngayon po ay day 2 namin dito sa Switzerland. Ayan po, bibili po ako ng ticket para sa aming tour. Ito po ang aming bus na sasakyan, double-decker bus, papuntang Mount Titlis. Maganda po dito. Dito po ang Zurich Excursion Trip Station. Makakabili po kayo dito ng regular tours, small group tours, multi-day tours, at private tours. Depende po sa inyo. Napakarami pong pwedeng puntahan dito sa Zurich, kaya talagang napakaganda ng lugar na ito.
Hi guys!
Hello!
Saan ka pupunta?
I'm going to Mount Titlis today and to Lake Lucerne.
Really?
Yeah,
What do you expect to do there?
I'm going to see the Swiss Alps.
Really?
Everyone must see. If you go in Switzerland, you have to go there to see the Swiss Alps. I'm excited to see the Lake Lucerne. It's the biggest city in Switzerland.
Okay, we're in the top view of the bus and here's the queue. I think going to other city.
Once again, welcome on board, please. Central Switzerland Air Mount Titlis. Apologies for this delayed start. We're usually very punctual, but we had some issues with a couple of tickets that delayed our departure, but all sorted, and we're now on our way. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to our team. You already know me, I'm Barbara, but you can also call me Barb. It's up to you, whatever is easier for you. On the wheel we have Tolik, and he's a very experienced driver. You will see why you need one today on the journey up the mountain pass to Engelberg. I have just fastened my seatbelt. I hope you all have your seatbelts fastened as well. In Switzerland, it's absolutely mandatory. We do get fined if police sees us without the seatbelt, so please make sure you have it fastened at all times. Welcome to Zurich, or welcome to Switzerland if you arrived at the Zurich airport. You are in the largest city in Switzerland. Zurich is the largest city in Switzerland. Population of 450,000 inhabitants, but that doesn't make us the capital. We don't officially have a capital in Switzerland. We have Bern, which is where we have the federal government, but Zurich is the #1 city in terms of inhabitants. And also on your left side, quickly, if you look, you have to bend your necks a little bit maybe. The Landesmuseum looks a little bit like Hogwarts, this castle-looking building. The idea is to resemble the houses of the feudal lords of Switzerland. We never really had kings or queens in Switzerland, but we had these feudal houses, and they ran the country. We also have the largest airport in Zurich and the largest railway station. We're passing it on the right-hand side. It's called Zurich HB, Zurich Hauptbahnhof. The main station, not just in Zurich, but also in Switzerland, and a very central point of the railways in Europe. I'm sure many of you are in transit if you're traveling from Austria to France or from Italy to Germany. You're probably passing by Switzerland. It was a mere coincidence, but that has to do with the very important railways of Switzerland. They're not just important for tourists, but also for the economical growth in Switzerland. So in order to understand these railways, we have to look at the statue of the gentleman on your left-hand side. If you're sitting on the upper deck, you can see him a little bit better. He's now on your left. His name is Alfred Escher. He's looking at the Bahnhofstrasse, at the main commercial street of Zurich. By the way, one of the most expensive streets in the world. And Alfred Escher was the engineer who thought of connecting all of Europe through Switzerland using the railways. And he knew he needed a lot of money for that. So he co-founded a bank, which you all know for sure, it's Credit Suisse. And that's why he has such an important place in the center of Zurich. He's standing right there showing you the railway station, and right in front of him, in the middle of the Bahnhofstrasse, Credit Suisse has its headquarters as well. So later today on arrival, our tour will end at the Bahnhofplatz, where we find Alfred Escher's statue, because that's the main entrance of the railway station. That's just next to the bridge that gives access to the Niederdorf, which is the old town neighborhood of Zurich, just across from the Limmat River. So you have a river now on your right hand side, that's the Seal, and in the old town we have the Limmat. And the two rivers form a triangle, so they merge, they form a triangle together with the lake of Zurich. And if you're inside the two rivers and the lake, so if you're inside this triangle, you're in central Zurich. Later today, if you have issues going back to your hotels, if you're not quite sure of how to get back to your accommodation, just ask me on the way back. I'll help you find the best way back. So we're trying to leave Zurich as quickly as we can because our day is not going to be focused on the city. We're not going to get to know the canton of Zurich or the city of Zurich. Our aim today is to drive southwest and leave the region of the Swiss plateau, which is this more or less flat part of Switzerland. I say more or less flat because right ahead of us is already Engelberg, which is the house mountain of Zurich, but this is nothing compared to the Swiss Alps, which we find to the south and southwest of the country. And so traveling southwest means leaving the Swiss plateau and reaching the city of Lucerne. So in approximately 45 minutes we should reach the city of Lucerne. We will not do our visit to the city of Lucerne. Now in the morning, we will just be passing by the city because we have to get to Engelberg and Mount Titlis, and we'll also have a couple of people joining us on the tour from the city of Lucerne. And afterwards, we continue our drive to Engelberg. In order to get to Engelberg from Lucerne, we have to go up a steep mountain pass. So we go first through the valley, then up the mountain pass, and we reach the town of Engelberg at 1,080 meters above sea level. Cars are the Titlis Express and the Rotair, which you've all seen if you looked at a picture of Mount Titlis. It's the big rotating gondola. So the Titlis Rotair takes 75 people on a 6-minute journey, spinning around itself 360 degrees to bring you to the top of Titlis. So when you're on the Rotair, you're already above all mountains around you. And at the top of Titlis, you'll have a couple of hours to enjoy the attractions, which include visiting the glacier caves of Mount Titlis. Like many mountains at a very high altitude, Mount Titlis has its own glacier wall, and this cave allows you to walk inside the glacier and see these beautiful caves with amazing light effects. Across from the glacier cave, you'll also find the suspension bridge, which is also the highest in Europe. And this one brings us to the Ice Flyer. Now the Ice Flyer is a chairlift that is used by the skiers who like to ski over the glacier of Titlis. So we're expecting temperatures around the 0 degrees Celsius, so 32 Fahrenheit, which is lovely for this time of the year. And we're expecting sun with some clouds here and there, but not enough to cover your views. We're already on the highway. We're about to enter Engelberg tunnel, which is the first of the many tunnels we'll be crossing today. This one is only 4.5 kilometers long, and it allows us to drive across Engelberg, which is the house mountain of Zurich. If you want to get a good view of the city and the lake ahead to the top of this mountain, you can catch train S10 from the main station. That takes only 20 minutes to get up there, or you can do what locals do on the weekends. You can hike up there. Only a couple of hours. So passing a church on your left hand side, you can see the church has a cross, and that informs us that we're arriving in the region of Lucerne, because as we get closer to Lucerne, the predominant faith is no longer Protestantism but Catholicism. So in Switzerland we have a big divide in the population. In Zurich the majority is Protestant, in Lucerne the majority is Catholic. How do we know? Well, we just have to look at the churches. You don't even have to walk inside. Just look at the towers. If they have a cross on the tower, they are Catholic. If they have a rooster or a flag, then they're Protestant. So on the right, when we have a few kids on board, on the right we're passing a classic building of a school. These days they build them a bit more contemporary, but this is how they all used to look like. And it's always relevant mentioning schools, because in Switzerland schools tend to be very, very different from each other. They don't all follow the same program. The programs are not made at a federal level, they're made on at a cantonal level. So each canton decides what to teach and when to teach. The languages also change from canton to canton. So in the region of Zurich and here in the region of Lucerne, the first language is always German, since this is the official language of these cantons and the predominant language in this eastern and northeastern region of Switzerland. 65% of the Swiss population speak German, or the dialect variation of German, depending on where you are. In the west of Switzerland, 30% of the population speak French. Some regions around the city of Bern are bilingual. They speak French just as much as they speak German. And in the south, we have 8% Italian speakers in the canton of Ticino. So we have one canton where everybody speaks, or almost everybody speaks, Italian. There is yet a fourth language in Switzerland that is, and that is Retro-Roman, which is an old language derived from Latin that is only spoken in some mountain towns in the southeast of Switzerland. Sadly, only roughly 60,000. We're now entering the city of Lucerne. On the left, you can see that we're already changing arms of the cross that is Lake Lucerne. So the cross of the Astrid Chapel is called Kusnacht, which translates literally to Kiss of the Night. And now we're entering the arm of the city of Lucerne. On the left, you see a big mountain, a spiky mountain. That's Mount Pilatus, the house mountain of Lucerne. And Pilatus sits at 2,130 meters above sea level. It's about 6,500 feet above sea level, and it's known as the Mountain of the Dragons. If you want to find out why, you have to visit the dragon caves in the mountain. So Pilatus is one of the mountains we always recommend you visit if you're back in Switzerland in summer. The 15-minute walk away from the city center of Lucerne. We can already see the city here. We're approaching the city center. Lucerne is the largest city in central Switzerland with 80,000 inhabitants. Might not sound like much, but for Switzerland's scale, it is a large city. And it is one of the most important cities in the country for a number of reasons. Well, first of all, this was the first city-state to join the Swiss Confederation. And so it was the stage of many battles. And because of that, the city was heavily fortified with a wall, 7 towers, and the 2 wooden bridges on the river Reuss. So the old town of Lucerne is located within a ring formed by the wall of the city and the river Reuss. We'll see that in a few minutes. Lucerne is also the city where the Swiss mercenaries were originally from. These days they have another name. They're called the Swiss Guard, and you've seen them if you've been to the Vatican. They're the ones protecting the Pope in those very silly clothes, and they're also the ones defending the border between North and South Korea. So they still have many important diplomatic roles worldwide. The Swiss Guard was already famous in the years of the French Revolution. In fact, they were the ones who protected Louis XVI during the French Revolution, when the Jacobins, when the population of France wanted him dead. In one of the sieges of Versailles, the Swiss Guard sent 10,000 men to protect the king, but they were not warned that the king had already escaped the palace, so they kept fighting, and 700 of those 10,000 men lost their lives in combat. This is the story told by the Lion Monument of Lucerne. Later today, if you would like to visit the Lion Monument, let me know. It's not so far away from our meeting point during our hour break in Lucerne later today before we come back to Zurich. So regardless of your program, whether you're staying in Engelberg or going with me up to Mount Titlis, everybody gets an hour in Lucerne before we return to Zurich this evening. Another reason why the city is so important. In fact, the federal government was located in Lucerne until the mid-19th century when it moved to Bern. So Lucerne was technically the capital of Switzerland until very recently. We're approaching now the Square of the Swans, Schwanenplatz, on your right-hand side. Just to mention this because this square has one of the most famous buildings in Lucerne, the Bucherer Rolex store. This is a shopping mall for Swiss watches where you find watches more expensive than your houses. And they have the Rolex, the main Rolex store here in Lucerne. Now, let this not cheat you into thinking that the Swiss watches are made in Lucerne. They're not. They usually come from the region of Geneva and Bern, but Lucerne is the #1 city in terms of tourism, so it has all the watch stores. Now we're passing on your right-hand side, the Chapel Bridge, built in 1333. It is one of the two 14th century bridges of the city of Lucerne. So further down River Reuss to your right, we also have the Mill Bridge, and they are both decorated with Baroque paintings. The Chapel Bridge here is the most special of the two because of its size and shape. It's almost in a triangle, built almost in a triangle, and it's the last one of these long wooden bridges still standing. But it had a troubled history. Throughout its centuries of existence, it suffered several fires. The last one was in 1993, in a big fire that decimated most of the paintings inside. So when you cross the Chapel Bridge later today, don't just look outside, also look up and see that some of the Baroque paintings that used to decorate it are missing. There are labels explaining to you where the fire started and where it ended. Arrived here in the 12th century looking for a place to build their Benedictine monastery. They came from Bavaria, from the south of Germany, and traveled all the way to this region of Switzerland. And when they arrived in this valley and looked at the mountains ahead of us, they said to themselves, wow, this place seems to be blessed by angels. And so they called it literally Mountain of Angels, Engelberg. Their monastery grew and became one of the most important of its kind in Central Europe in the medieval times. But after the Protestant Reformation in Switzerland in the 16th century, many of these Catholic institutions had to close. That's what happened with the monastery of Engelberg. It was later sold, and today it is operating as a hotel on one side of the building and as a cheese factory in a little corner of the monastery as well. This cheese factory uses mostly milk produced here in the valley. So if you look left and right, all you see are dairy farms. These are privately owned farms. The farmers usually have 10 to 30 cows, not too many, because the goal is to provide the cows with the best quality of life possible. The cows live very strict routines of spending summers in the mountains. So during summer they travel higher up to altitudes of 2,000 meters above sea level, so 6,000 feet above sea level, and they stay there for the warm months. eating from these pastures high up, because the higher you go in the mountain, the more unique these herbs that grow there will be. So it's the special diet that the cows have during summer that gives the cheese such a special taste. We're already going up to the town of Engelberg. In about 5 minutes we will be at the cable car station. And once we're there, those of you with golden stickers, Mount Titlis group, please follow me inside the building. You will see toilets outside, just ignore them for a moment. We'll have a toilet break once we're inside the building. During that time I'll go to the offices, collect our tickets, and then 5 minutes later we meet again. You will all get your tickets, so each and every one of you will receive a ticket and a sticker with a number. The ticket allows you to ride on the cable cars up and down. The same ticket will be valid for all trips up and down the mountain. Don't get rid of your ticket once you get to the top, otherwise you're stuck in the mountain forever. The sticker will have a number that identifies our group. If staff members see you lost or if you get hurt, this number is connected to me, so you don't have to remember my name, which I hope you all do by now, and they will know exactly who to contact. Once you have your ticket and your sticker, we can all board the cable cars together. Regardless of what happens, everyone, please make sure you follow me to the top. If you get lost on the way up, then it's going to be very difficult to come back down without me. So on the way up, make sure you follow the group, you stick to the group, and that you always know where I am. If you have to go somewhere, please inform me. If you want to make a photo around the corner or go to a toilet, please let me know, as I have to know where everyone is until we get to the top of the mountain. The journey up will take approximately 45 minutes. 45 minutes on a day like today, since we're expecting large crowds in Mount Titlis. So about 45 minutes on 2 different cable cars. The first, the Titlis Express, takes approximately 20 minutes, and there is a stop on the way up. We don't jump out on this first stop. Let me repeat that and be very, very clear. This first stop, when the doors open, please remain in your seats. We jump out on the second stop, second and last stop of the Titlis Rotair. At that stop, we change for the Rotair and we continue until we get to the top at 3,020 meters above sea level, 10,000 feet. At this altitude, I'll give you further instructions on how to use the attractions at the top, and you will see there are restaurants, shops, toilets, all of those things to keep you comfortable. The restaurants serve not only Swiss food, but also buffet food from around the world, sandwiches, soups, pizza, pasta, so lots of things a choice. And down at the valley station, there is an Indian street food restaurant with excellent samosas. So if mountain visit, you can also do that. On the way down, you can do the journey down once again with me. If that's what you would rather do, please let me know once we get to the top. Just come to me and say, Barbara, I would prefer going back down with you. If you do wish to come back down with me, then we come back straight to the bus. If you choose to come down on your own, which is what I recommend you do, you can stop on the way down at the mid station, the one where we did not jump out on the way up, because at that stop there is some snow fun. You'll find snow tubing and snow sledging, so if you would like to try that, you can try that on the way down at that stop. You jump out, you try it for 15-20 minutes, half an hour, as long as you want, as long as you're back on the bus at 3:30. So regardless of what you do, everybody should be back on the bus, ready for departure at 3:30. Remember, we're very, very punctual in Switzerland, and we will leave. If any of you would prefer returning to Lucerne or Zurich, by train. The train station is 5 minutes away from the cable car station, so that's always an option you have. So remember, if you are coming back down from the mountain and would like to try the Snow Fun Park, keep in mind that it takes 40 to 45 minutes. The journey, just the journey on the cable cars, plus whatever time you want to spend at the Snow Fun Park. So everyone, we're now looking at the Titlis Communications Tower. It's right ahead of us, so that's where we're headed to. If you're on the upper deck, you can see it nice and clear. Like I said, the weather should be very good. It shouldn't be too cold. But if you would like to build a snowman, do some snowball fighting, or go to the snow fun area, we always recommend that you have some gloves on. If you don't have gloves on, you can purchase at any station in Mount Titlis. If you are concerned about your jackets or shoes, if you don't have winter shoes and snow jackets or waterproof jackets, you can rent those at the Mount Titlis station. You don't have to buy jackets or shoes. So at the top station on level 4 at the photo studio, there is a shoe and jacket rental area. You can go there and rent those things if you feel like you need it. If you have heavy belongings that you would like to leave on the bus, please feel free to leave them on your seats. Tolik will keep the bus locked while we're away. But of course, remember to bring with you all of the things that you need. Once we leave the bus, there is no coming back until it's time to return to Lucerne and Zurich. So please check if you have your wallets with you. A couple of weeks ago, I had a guest who left his jacket on the bus and boarded the cable cars with a t-shirt, thinking that he could come back and pick up the jacket. He ended up at the top of the mountain without a jacket. So don't let that happen to you. Then you'll have to go and rent one. So we're now entering the town of Engelberg. Population just a little bit over 3,000, but from December and until April, Engelberg is a very, very popular ski resort. And the capacity of this town is for over 10,000 people who come here during the winter months for winter sports. Like I said before, you should expect a few skiers and snowboarders in the mountain. Remember, they're mostly locals, so they are a little bit self-entitled. They think they own the mountain. Don't let them jump ahead of you on a line. You have as much priority as they do. So with that in mind, of course, feel free to mingle with them, share a cable car, and they'll tell you a little bit about what they do around here. So on the Titlis Express, these cabs that you see now on the right-hand side, we have capacity for 6 to 8 people, 6 to sit comfortably. If you have children in your group, then 8 is also fine. Please don't be afraid of sharing a cabin with other people if you're traveling solo or just with a +1. They are nice and comfortable even for 6 people, and you can make friends. And of course, the less cable cars we use, the faster we get to the top of the mountain.